right, it's a Thursday, and Elizabeth Kinyu, our life coach, is with us this morning. Last week we discussed why we have lots of cases of divorce. Today we just want to understand the foundation of marriage. And it's interesting that when you're talking about marriage, you do not fail to speak about divorce. While we all hope that you could get to, that marriage set up and keep it for the rest of time, until death do us part or does us part, whichever way you want to look at it. It's never the case, and so even as we talk about the foundation of marriage, somehow we're going to mention a thing or two about divorce. And so, Elizabeth, thank you so much for creating time to be with us this morning. Marriage remains the best thing that can happen to a person. That is love, marriage, and all that. Yes. But equally, the most dreaded moment of life. Just why?
Thank you for having me. And this is going to be an interesting discussion.
Yes, for sure.
When you say marriage is dreaded by who?
By very many people. They tell you, I want to get married, lakini naogopa sasa. First of all, naogopa sina pesa enough. Naogopa nitaoa nani. I don't know where they're coming from. Naogopa how will I approach. Like that is the kind of dread that we speak about. And you even fear getting into it because the cases of divorce are so many that you fear divorce even before you get into the marriage itself.
Okay, let's begin from here. Marriage is not man's invention.
Yes.
That we have to get it right.
But
right?
It involves man.
Fine. So the one who created it is God.
Yes.
So he has the manual, he has everything cut out. Now, when you get into that space called marriage, the reason why you're having those fears that you're talking about is because people are listening to the wrong voices.
Okay.
Which voice is speaking louder? Unfortunately, the louder voice is the one that is negative. The louder voice is the one that's saying this place is hell on earth.
Yes.
The louder voice. But those that are there, unfortunately, and they are making it, they seem either to be ignored because, good news is not news.
So they say, yes.
Yes, good news is not news. But when you hear people have hacked each other, someone has killed their spouse and their children, now that's news. Actually, it's breaking news.
Right.
But we forget to highlight those that have been there and they're enjoying and not enduring. So what sticks into our minds? This thing cannot work.
So when you
actually,
say...
some people say it's a scam.
Today, that is the word in town. That marriage is a scam.
Yeah.
Those two words, marriage, scam. We will tell everybody. And when they say scam, it's because we are a people of statistics. We're a people of observing.
Yes.
We're a people of looking at events and concluding. We're a people who say that, this body so-and-so has, conducted, a statistics or an investigation or collected data on marriages, on people who are married. And this is what they have concluded based on what the people said their experiences were. And so when they say it's a scam, it's because someone has maybe tried it and it's been a crazy idea and then they're out of it. You cannot convince this person that this is not a scam. When you say that the manual is with God, that it was orchestrated by God, why is it then that human beings will take glory when their marriages work? And why is it then that the world will condemn and castigate you when yours does not work?
No, actually, let me correct that. The world castigates those whose marriages have worked. Because when you wake up and go to social media and display how you're working, people tend to condemn you more.
But then these very people will take the glory and say, we have done this, they do not acknowledge, most of them will not acknowledge the hand and the contribution of God.
Definitely God is in the picture. Let's begin from
God
there.
is in the picture, but they don't tend to acknowledge that.
I would really not say they don't, because anyone, whether you're a Christian or a Muslim, look at anyone whose marriage has worked.
They say it is God.
At least they attribute it to God.
Okay, well,
okay,
all right.
So then the pride bit is taken off.
So when it doesn't work well, why is it that then you're told, why is it that you can't come out and say that, I am divorced and it's because I tried and it did not work? Yeah, let's just say God did not want for this to happen. Why are you looked down upon? Why do you have this aspect of people? And I know you are looking at me as though I'm speaking as if I do not live in this world. I live in this world, Kenya to be precise. And I think These are the questions that very many people ask. And you've had us having a conversation even before we started the show. You know, there's always a lot that revolves around this space of marriage that feels like, you know what, it's about the effort of people.
Definitely there's the effort, because then you cannot base marriage on love only. Because truth be told, there are times when you don't feel the goosebumps. There are times you don't feel like, you know, I want to be in this thing. But you have to be committed. Committed and consistency, by the way, there's a very slim line. Because it's like for those that love fitness, there are days you wake up and you don't feel like hitting the gym at all. Or going for workouts. But you remind yourself, what is the end result that I desire here? Is to be fit, physically fit. Okay? So you wake up, you drag yourself, and you hit the road. Several months down the road, you actually look back and you appreciate the fact that you never quit. So this thing called marriage cannot work, cannot be sustained by love only.
Do we fear the price? Now the price that we pay to keep our marriages, as opposed to the ultimate prize? Because
there is work. Let's be straight. There is work. You will not sleep and wake up and everything is okay. It's like telling me Kipchoge will sleep and wake up and hit the road and win.
Impossible.
It's not
so what's
possible.
then is the fun that people look forward to when they think of marriage? Because then it should also be a safe haven, or having a place, you know, a place. There's just something about marriage that, again, you know, God speaks of, that is so divine and good. And so if it's a lot of work, then why get into it? And maybe that's why most of the men will tell you, at least not now, because ni kazi mingi sana, you know, out of what people have said. So and today, you will agree with me, most of the ladies will tell you that I just want a man who's going to impregnate me, I get a baby, and I'm good to go.
Wrong. Error. Let's call it error.
Okay.
Because one, you have to be, this person that you want to get married to has to be your friend. Let's begin from there. You're not getting married to a stranger. So there has to be that element of that you look forward to spend time with them. Not just getting from them resources, financial support, but being in their company means the world to you. So companionship is key. Fine? And then I go back to commitment. Commitment. Man, you don't commit when you're feeling high. You commit even when you're feeling at your lowest. Okay? That is what drives it. Number 3, definitely the driving force is respect. You respect my space, I respect your space. Definitely. Because you came in with 32 sets of teeth. A full human being. With a vision, with a dream, with ambitions. He comes in with visions and dreams and ambitions. So I've got to respect his, and he's got to respect mine. So when that is put into that place, definitely you'll enjoy that space. You'll enjoy the company of this person. And you'll be looking forward to talk to them about your fears, your concerns, without so much fear. Because then when you're talking to a friend, you're ready to go naked, in quotes, before them, and they'll not condemn you. They'll not bash you. Okay? So that's basically how it's supposed to be. You have to commit. There has to be work put into it, and there's got to be respect.
So they say that for a structure, and the most beautiful structures that we see around, they say there's been a proper foundation to it. And so this morning we talk about the foundation of marriage. Just what is this?
For me, from where I stand, the foundation is based on God. That's where you begin.
There are those ones that do not believe in the existence of God, and they're human beings in this world, and they want to get married.
I want to assure you, whether you don't believe there's a God or God does not exist, there are factors in this life that will bring you to the point of realizing that there is a God. And the beauty is, and I'm saying whether you're a Christian, you're a Catholic, you're a Muslim, you're what, there's a God somewhere who can speak and guide your steps. Now for me, let me speak as a Christian. I know that he says he orders our steps. Fine? So then, the place where you see this guy and you're attracted to him, are you able to hold your emotions and ask God, okay, God, is this guy meant for me? He's tall, dark, and handsome. Fine. He's driving the best vehicle in town. Fine. But is he the right man for you? Because then when you rush into it out of the emotions, then God decides, okay, go ahead. What do you experience eventually? Frustrations. And then when people are frustrated, you come back and you want to say, it's a scam. It's not a scam because you started it on your own. Let me ask you, for example, When you do these braids, 3 strands, okay, and you do the twist outs, which ones are easier to undo?
When you do the
The 3 or the 2?
The 2.
The 2 are easy.
Yes.
Yes. That's the same thing. When it is only you and your lover,
Yeah.
it's just the 2 of you.
Right.
You will easily be undone by any storm that comes. But when you're 3, with the God in between, God, you, and your fiancé, the 3 of you, challenges will come. Because there's no way in this life you say there are no challenges. In marriage, at work, even for those in school, in college, university, there will be challenges. But then your foundation is 3-legged. You, God, and your fiancé. I assure you, you can withstand the storm.
Okay.
Because the storms will be there. Yes.
We have seen people in church rooted therein deeply, divorcing, and that we will discuss. But just look at perhaps this question where you say now the involvement of God is very, very important. But at what point? And when you say, there's a lot of work that needs to be put in that. So what then is this work that one needs to put in the name of now, this is the kind of foundation that I am building, and you and your spouse now would sit to work towards that. Not overlooking God, but of course in the presence or with the presence of God therein.
Let me first of all give you a small story. You have ladies sometimes in church who are born again or saved or committed to church, but their spouses are not. And the greatest mistake that some of them tend to do is they glorify the man of God in church in the presence of their spouse.
Okay.
So any man feels threatened. You can't come home and start telling me, the man of God said, and I'm the man in this house. Then we need to initiate a project, and then you go like, my husband, let me consult the man of God. Those things, ladies have got to be very cautious. The man and the king in your life, once you get into that marriage, is your husband. Okay? So you can't keep on flashing or glorifying another man in the presence of your husband. You're brushing his ego the long way. And definitely he will not stand there and watch. So right there, your conflict will begin. So I always challenge more so ladies, if you're so much into church, try and find balance.
Yeah.
You have someone back at home who needs your attention. Give him the attention he wants.
Right.
Okay? What he desires you to fulfill as a wife. What are the roles of a wife? Okay? Fulfill them. Then you can be able to do all these other things. I am not against, I'm a church person, damn, 100%. But then you've got to find that balance where you don't keep on brushing what the man of God said all the time to your spouse.
Yeah. Okay, good. So at this space of marriage, and then there's the involvement of God, there's also the coming in of babies, there's also family, and there are those ones who will tell you that out of involving their family members or out of just being in good terms with their family members, they have grown even bigger, better, the bond has been stronger. How can you delicately and carefully do this to avoid a scenario where it will cost you more than it will be of benefit to
That's
you?
bringing in the extended family members.
Yes, and
right?
generally family and even friends.
Honestly, it's a balancing act, because then you also have stories of those that have been badly bruised and their relationships damaged. So I basically say you've got to have a very big heart and be very smart and sharp. Keeping a safe distance is always good. Okay? So for example, the babies are there. You need some help. That's understandable. But then we also have another set of relatives that want to come and start schooling in Nairobi, and you also have to accommodate them.
Yeah.
Do you have the space? I mean, are they able to receive correction from you? Because as I said, our upbringings are different. Already you're dealing with a spouse who was not brought up the same way you are. Okay, I'll give you a very weird example.
Yeah.
Very weird. If you were brought up and taught that if you have a cold, you pick a handkerchief, blow your nose, right? Then your guy is brought up in a different setup. You have a cold, squeeze one nose, apply some pressure, the mucus comes out. You've met the two of you. That's the irony of marriage. You meet two different people from two different backgrounds. They may not be so extreme, but definitely your bringings are different. Now, bear in mind when you bring in now another relative, you have to understand them, But you also got to know, they have got to know your limits and boundaries.
Okay.
That this is how far you can come.
So are these ones supposed to be set on the onset, or as time goes by?
Now, those are some of the things you discuss when you go out on those coffee dates, because many times coffee dates, people assume they are for goosebumps.
And I want to ask you, how many families today would just say, you know what, out of the usual, let's do our coffee date. Let us just go and rekindle it. Let's just have time away from the house and all that.
It should be deliberate. It should be intentional. You have to actually put time to it.
Will you not look like you're prioritizing the things that are not necessary?
It is necessary.
And you're thinking a coffee date will cost us like about...
Oh, no. It's like having a jiko, the charcoal burner.
Yes.
And you don't add fuel to it. So how will you continue cooking?
Becomes
and you've
tricky.
not added charcoal to it. So once in a while you add charcoal, you remove the ash, because that ash is what kills the fire.
Yeah.
And you know, ash does not build in a minute.
Yes.
It builds slowly. I know you've cooked probably a jiko, you understand?
Yes.
The ash will not build in a day, in a minute. It takes time.
Right.
But before you know it, if you don't give attention to it, it kills the fire.
Right.
It chokes the fire. So you have got to be intentional. Shake that jiko a bit, add some fuel.
Yes.
Go out, give yourself some moments, good moments to refresh.
Yeah.
To reflect. And that's why
That's
you need to
very
continue with
important.
the dates. The dates are not for singles only, by the way.
At what age? At what age do you say now enough is enough? My mom is I don't know, 40 or something years in marriage. Does she require such?
Yes.
Does she?
Yes. When does
coffee
love die?
Does it ever die?
Thank you.
It should not. It should not allowed to be.
Yes.
It should not be allowed
It should not
to
be
die.
allowed to
Do
die.
we again get ourselves where we tend to allow for this love to die?
Yes.
Because we are not focused on nurturing it.
Yes, because just as I've said, you will not cook with your jiko and not attend to it. Because you can be busy doing other things, busy pursuing a career,
Yeah.
and everything else takes a backseat. Okay? You can be busy with the babies, by the way. As women, we use babies. We can use babies to distract ourselves
excuses,
completely
yes.
as excuses. Fine, we have to agree. Definitely when babies come into the equation, man, there's a lot that changes in a woman's life. A lot changes. Because ask any mother, the minute you are called mom, your priorities tend to change. But then that's where you have got to exercise this wisdom to create the balance.
Yeah.
Know that this person needs my attention and the babies need my attention. It becomes even better when your spouse is able to chip in and assist you with those children. That's when you're able to say, fine, we can set aside this time, then we can go out. And they don't have some time to be planned. They can be random. I mean, you just call each other, hi, where are you? Can we meet? Sit down, talk. Don't cook today. Fine, I'll come with some takeaway so that you can also have time to relax. Because truth be told, I think our lifestyles have become too busy. We are actually not rushing. We are actually now running across, leaving the house very early, coming back late. We are worn out, and then we carry a lot of baggage from our workplaces, from our businesses, our frustrations. And unless we get time to be able to really clearly tell, now this, I put it aside. Now this, I can handle it. This, I can bring it on the table. It's going to be messy. As a politician said, loud and messy.
Noisy and messy.
Noisy and messy. That's the one. And that's what we are hearing now.
Yes.
We are hearing too much noise and too much mess. But I want to tell you, even in the midst of that noise and mess, a lot is working. Unfortunately, the voice of those that are working and have figured it out is really very low.
Okay.
I don't know why.
So how do you align your kids to what it was, the main foundation, the main guideline? Because sometimes there's that tendency where we march into marriage and we're thinking it's only the two of us and it's going to be that for the rest of time. But then reality awakens you. Like the other time, today we're reading a story of a man who was planning for one child and then they get 5. And on top of that 5, there's one that was there. And then at this point, it's a culture shock. Yes. And so even as we align ourselves and speak of the foundation and build it, do we always sit down, or is it important to sit down and think of the anomalies and think of, the things that would be extraordinary? And so how do we get them so that when this wind blows, It blows, but then it does not shake us, or it does not fall us after this break.
Okay.
Namaliza in 10.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Are you looking for a college that will impact your practical skill sets? Trisent School of Medical Health and Science Technology offers market-driven programs in diploma and certificate levels in the schools of health sciences, social sciences, applied sciences, and business and informatics. Enroll for our January 2023 intake to enjoy seamless student experience. You deserve qualified faculty leadership to set a good guide for your career. Trisent School of Medical Health and Science Technology, partners in your journey to excellence.
Yeah, like you see, these are the fabrics we use for the sofas. Yeah, there are different types of fabrics. Sabak.
This is the best way to go. Eat color, eat raw, you know, like this is alive. Well, 2022 is behind us. 2023 is here with us. What are your plans? We here at TV47's Morning Cafe have great plans for you. We're talking about information, we're talking about entertainment, we're talking about the greatness for the year. So make sure that you're always with us every morning. In the absence of, you know, God, and it is very, very important to always go back to that divine maker and, you know, ask for guidance so that they would walk you through. There are things that, you know, we get into and we say there was no manual for it, but somehow we manage, and we have seen people managing. So if people have managed, what makes you think you cannot? It should be deliberate. It should be incumbent upon you and your partner to make it work. And so, Elizabeth, before that break, I asked this very important question that, yes, sometimes you set foundations, you say, these are our goals, these are our guidelines. Sometimes you write them somewhere on the wall and say, you know, this is what we're going to follow until the rest of time. But for a moment, we tend to forget, you know, the things that would come along that really we had not planned for. And sometimes, you know, we tend to forget that there's going to be an existence of other kids, which are members of this very family, and therefore are part and parcel of this marriage. How do we plan for this so that we're not gotten flat-footed?
I think the thing is not much per se plan for it, is to be prepared for any. Because like the guy you're saying, they were hoping for one baby. They got 5 babies.
Yes.
Do you run away?
Good question.
You can't run away.
Yeah.
Now, for back to the commitment. Back to the commitment. You stick by it because it happened. Leave alone babies. People get involved in an accident and they can no longer be working.
Yeah.
Okay? So will you leave this person because they are no longer bringing food on the table or bread on the table?
No.
Back to commitment.
Right.
Because you love this person and you're committed to them. Unfortunately, I think we're having a generation that is giving up so fast, too quickly. And so when those uncertain storms come, because some of them, they are not even, you cannot even foresee them, but they suddenly happen.
Yeah.
Without being planned, you have everything, you have cushioned yourself against everything, and whoops, there you are. You find yourself in a storm. A lady says, I mean, she was sure that she was not ready for babies.
Yeah.
She was in her late 40s. And then she goes to hospital, thinking it's fibroids, it's a baby. What do you do?
Wow.
Will you abandon that person?
That is
Commitment. Commitment is a bigger part of it. That's why I said marriage cannot be sustained by love only.
Yeah.
Because love is just that feeling of goosebumps and but
Which
then
will
there's the
not
sober.
always be there.
Yes, there's a sober you that has to commit to it,
Yeah.
even when the storm comes.
Yes.
That I'm here with you, I'll support you in your lowest and in your highest moments.
How successfully do you align, your children to your goals, to the virtues of this marriage and family, to the ways that you'd want for them to grow as the Bible or the Good Book and many other, denominations would dictate?
This is how I like to put it. I believe every family needs to have their culture, quote unquote. Culture is a way of life, right?
Yes.
So what is your family way of life? If your children were woken up at night, in the middle of the night, and they would be asked, so what can you say about your family?
Yeah.
By then you'll be shocked at what some of the responses these children would give. Because we've left our children to the nannies. So the nannies are the ones forming the culture in our children, because they are speaking more into our children. So regardless of the busy schedules we have and all that stuff, you need to create time that will help carve a culture for that child to know that in this family, this is how we run things, these are the things we value, these are the things we uphold in our family. Because soon and very soon, they'll be out of your nest. What will they walk home with?
Yeah.
What will they use to absorb the shock from?
Right.
What are you telling them every day, especially for the younger ones? Let's talk about the younger ones. When they are going to school every morning, what exactly are you telling them? Because when you release your children in the morning, the words you say to them will be like oxygen or a fire extinguisher to them during the day. Because they are going to a school, not every other child will be friendly to them. Not every teacher will be nice to them. Not even the drivers will be nice to them. But what are those words of affirmation that you spoke to them that they can, regardless of what they are facing in school, they can still smile because you supply them with some oxygen?
Right.
Or did you extinguish it with a fire extinguisher? And they're like, yeah, even when I'm getting treated like this in school, I think mom was right. I'm good for nothing. So form a culture that your family can adopt, that your family can flow with, even when you're not there, that your children can flow with it. Yes.
All right, that's good. So briefly, I started by saying that it's hard to discuss marriage and run away from this conversation of divorce. And one person sends a message and asks this. Let me read it. Yes. At what point is cheating enough? Yeah, cheating enough that you would say, I'm 25 years old in marriage, but he is cheating on me, and therefore I'm justified to walk out. At what point can cheating be cheating enough? Because there are instances where we'll tell you, amekucheat mara moja tu, vumilia. Ama umempata, uko sure ulimuona akicheat. And such is marriage, such is that space. And some of these difficulties we'll go through. Sometimes someone is not even cheating, but they have just, met someone, visited and all that. And but then again, it gets you and it gets into your head. And you sort of feel like you are contemplating to walk out.
Wow, how cheating is cheating enough for you to walk out? I actually have no measure for that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, your emotional wellness is your gauge. Your emotion gauge intelligence should be able to tell you now, I can't hold it any longer. If really you've tried to speak to this person, ask them, can we seek reconciliation? I don't like this, I don't like... Because there are those that are not apologetic at all or remorseful.
Yes.
So you caught me, so now that's a different ballgame altogether. Them are doing it deliberately to hurt you.
Yeah.
That's when you've got to have the emotional intelligence to realize, if I cannot have a good conversation with this person, can I bring in a third party? Now, are they ready to work with a third party and find an amicable solution to our challenge? Yeah. At the end of the day, I always say, I am a church person, but I am not going to tell you die there. I'm not going to tell you die there, but at least fight for it. Try, not fighting physically. No, those physical fights we've seen somewhere on social media, they're not worth. They're not worth it. You can be quiet, still, calm and sober, and sort out your issues.
Good.
Look for third parties. If the guy is willing to or the lady is willing, because these days, cheating is two ways. Initially, we used to think it's only men. But these days, you hear ladies are saying, he cheated, I'll cheat.
I'll cheat.
Or even the guy
and they even claim to be smarter than the men.
Yes.
when it comes to...
Yes, so you're on a revenge mission.
Yes.
You've already destroyed that thing.
And there's someone who says, and I've heard someone say that, that you know what, if you cheat me, the only way to serve you and act like it is all good is to cheat. That is the only way. Then we meet home and we're okay. Does it ever solve a thing?
Can I ask you something? If you found a pig in a pigsty, it definitely will be dirty. Now you're outside. If you decide to jump in, the two of you will become dirty, right? Now if you choose to stay out, everyone will see and notice the pig is dirty, but the one outside there is clean. So you don't have to jump in to dirtify yourself.
But they say it is not about the people out there. It's about my fulfillment, my inner fulfillment. How do I serve this man?
Let me tell you, 10 years, 20 years down the road, that thing will eat you up.
So it's not going to be any form of fulfillment. And sometimes instantly, because you could get something that you really did not intend to. You know, sometimes get a baby for this other man and you do
it's
not
okay.
know what to
Leave
do.
alone the baby. I want you to imagine 15 years down the road. Okay, you've sobered up and realized, by the way, since I was on a revenge mission, I'm not interested in this guy. So he goes on and marries. Okay, you messed up your thing. Because you're on a revenge mission. You meet with the two somewhere. You know, you'll be wondering, I hope he doesn't remember. That guilt thing will be eating you up. Why should you walk around with that guilt tag all your life? Because you went on a revenge mission.
You can always save yourself from
Step
it.
aside.
Yes.
Try solve it. Because you know, stepping aside is not walking away. Stepping out as you try to get a solution. And once there's a solution, you come back in. If your emotions are really completely going south, now when it becomes violent, that's when we say keep off completely, because your life is more important.
Yeah. All right. And Wangunyu is writing to say, Linda, kindly ask Elizabeth whether it is very important to formalize your marriage like this, you know, formal ways of getting to have your wife to be your marriage. And you have seen the latest, ruling by the Supreme Court that come we stay is no longer considered as marriage. And it's tough for us men out here because, again, it's expensive to sometimes formalize some of these processes. Just how important in building this foundation that we speak of is a wedding, is a legal document. Just how important.
Linda, why should it be expensive? It is expensive because we've been brainwashed to imagine that I need a very glamorous wedding that people talk about.
Okay.
I know they only talk about in about 12 hours. On Saturday, I was in a very, very big pre-wedding. Very nice. But I think most of us have forgotten the major events that were happening. So if you don't have the capacity to get to that, please don't strain yourself. Those that can, we are grateful, we will come, we will celebrate. But why should you think of even taking a loan to do a wedding? Why? It means even the person, if it's the person pressurizing you, think twice. If they can't really accept to walk down the aisles on a Sunday service, or when the priest is conducting mass, and join you, it doesn't have to be expensive. With about 5,000, there's a guy who did a wedding with, was it 200 shillings? 200 shillings.
Yeah, the other time, but now you know that one is a different story.
No. It's about accepting me
as
where I am financially, because you know wallets deflate and inflate, Linda.
Yeah.
So as at now, if it is deflated, am I able to accept it?
What if you say, let's walk in and then we'll formalize with time?
I don't know. I'm never for that thing.
It is now or never.
Sorry.
We start off on a good ground.
I think you better start off on the good ground. Because then again, if we say we are waiting to do the glorious, glamorous thing, honestly, start it at the lowest level where we are. Do not despise humble beginnings, as I say.
Yes.
Okay? Those humble beginnings are very good. And the beauty is, when you come in, when both of you are at that simplest, lowest level, you grow together, you appreciate each other. To the ladies, do not be so happy that you're getting married to a guy who is loaded, who has everything, because as he counts his assets, his vehicles, his house, you are one of them. Okay? Yeah. As opposed to we have started both of us from ground zero. So we are building us. I found you when you've already built yourself. So I'm more likely to become an asset among the many assets
Among
that
the
you
many
have.
assets.
Yes.
And I'm glad that you're talking about assets. Terry is asking, today, and it is so common that men will always come and amass, wealth, and they do not write anything in the name of the lady. They would rather write in the name of the kids. And so they are asking, what then is this that people are building today? And I think you have come across people who will tell you that. And a man says, I will buy lots of land. Sometimes they will not even tell their ladies because, well, of course, they're not so quite sure about this thing called marriage. And some of them, again, would proceed to say that, well, I have bought this piece of land. It will be written under so-and-so, that is our young baby, and not under the name of this women. And maybe that's why most of the women will suffer when their husbands die. Now family come and they say this is property for our son and all that. So Terry says, afadhali tutoke hapa nje tuende tutafute pesa zetu.
It's those scenarios are actually very unfortunate. We cannot say they are not there, they are there. But once again, we go back to where you began. How did you begin? Because the beginning is everything. And sometimes we get it wrong at the beginning because the emotions are very high. So we ignore some of those things. Because I always say, when you're going out for dates, when you're dating in courtship, what are some of the things you discuss about? You cannot tell me a whole 45 minutes when you're going out for a coffee date and dating and courtship, you're simply saying, oh, you look beautiful, you look handsome. Discuss real stuff. Because after the wedding, the rubber meets the road. There will be bills to be paid. There are children that will come on board. Ask yourself, the two of you, supposing we don't get children, what will happen? Because when I say dating is a space where you gather as much data, let me call it data, or information about this other person, and then take some time, assess it and ask yourself, am I ready to go in with this person? But then we are doing it the other way. We go in, then we start dating, and then we confuse everything. Even if I was God, and you come back after causing all that mess, I'd even have to ask myself, so what is my fault? Even the devil will wonder, what is my fault in this? Because you began it the other way. You began in, then now you want to go out and start assessing. Assess first. Who are his friends? You find people getting married and they don't know whether this guy has any friends. Get to know even his relatives. How does he talk about his relatives? Just ask some questions, provocative questions. Because how he talks about his relatives has a bearing on how he will also talk about you and manage you.
All right, Papito Ule Mnoma says, Linda, tell Elizabeth there's married, then there's polygamy.
Yes.
I've grown up in a polygamous setup, and I can tell you, I doubt that is anything to do with marriage.
Polygamy, I don't know. I would not want to say much about it because I have no experience about polygamy. So I'm not sure. I'll be speaking from space. Yes. But from the few stories I've heard, fine, there are those that say they found, because you see, we cannot condemn you if you're born there.
Yeah.
It's like saying we condemn you for being born in as a Kikuyu or as a Kamba. You have no choice of where you're born. But then you have a choice of what you do after you're born, after you've grown up. Now you can make decisions. Would you want to continue with the same? So I will not condemn the parents who took that direction. It was their choice. It was unfortunate. But now that you are the adult here, what choices, what decisions, what paths are you charting? Yeah.
All right, so on this very morning, what will be this take home that you'd give the people who are watching us today as pertaining to just building a proper foundation of your marriage when you decide that this is the time? And is there a specific age that you as a life coach would recommend for people to get into marriage? Because I'll tell you, what I am today is totally different from what I was at 25.
Definitely.
From what I was at 23.
Yeah,
but today, we see people getting into marriages, at such tender ages. If you look at our parents, some of them will tell you, well, the world wasn't moving so fast, but even at 16, one would comfortably get into marriage. And they have sustained their marriages, they have kept their marriages. Is there a specific age that is recommendable? And beyond that, what is this one thing that, you need to learn, you need to keep as a proper foundation to marriage?
One, for me, age is nothing but a number. You can get married at 40. You can get married at 25. Are you mature? Because maturity and age are very different. For you to be mature, you've got to be emotionally stable. That's what I always say. Emotionally stable to realize that your spouse is not going to be an emotional garage to constantly keep on servicing you. So you come in and assess your own emotions and your everything, then you're able to get into that space. Because every new space you get into has new responsibilities that come with it. If, for example, you were used to sleeping alone, you would have slept like an octopus with your legs and your arms everywhere. Then you realize now we are two of us. I've got to apply some composure. You can choose to look at it like punishment, or choose to look at it like, fine, I have to start accommodating this person that I love because I want companionship. I want to spend time with them. Now, again, to the foundation, since you already read the foundation, there are things that I always say. Marriage, for it to come out and shine and flourish, takes time. It's time. Give yourselves time. No baker bakes a cake within 2 minutes. Because we have cakes in weddings, and I am a cake matron in many of these events. Those cakes, I don't bake cakes myself, but I know they take time. For you to deliver a beautiful cake, the ones, and these days they come in all shapes, models, and sizes, it takes time. So why do you think that you'll get into marriage today and figure out everything within a day? Linda, you'll get there and you realize, kumbe preparing a meal is not what I thought. That this person probably will not like githeri cooked this way, will not like these things. And then how do you start reaching a compromise? So give yourselves time to learn. Don't beat yourself so hard. Number 2, failing is part of learning. You get into that space. Sometimes we have a preconceived mind of how, probably having watched too many movies, of how we think an ideal marriage or home should function. Then we try those things and they don't work. Then what I always say, no one size fits all. Look for what fits the two of you. So fail and then learn from those failures and cut your own piece according to your own size. Create good memories. That's the icing on any cake. That's what I say. Cakes are baked the same, but icing is what makes the difference. Now, what will be the icing on your marriage? Creating those good memories. Continue surprising each other, taking out yourselves out for dates, taking the family out for good memories, and they don't have to be expensive, by the way. We are not saying you start now budgeting for $500,000 to go to Mombasa and you're earning 20,000, 50. No. Just go somewhere and refresh and have a good time. Speak about sweet nothings, about everything, about your fears and your concerns. By then, it's very refreshing when you just go out, speak, share, without really having to condemn each other. I think those are the things that I would say you have to add to the foundation where you begin. Give yourself time, put some icing on it, accept that failure is part of learning. Yes.
Temptation is
and
in the air.
Finally, let me say this. Sometimes you need to consult experts.
Very important.
Yes.
Okay.
Because this is the only institution where you're given the certificates, as they say, and then it's like being given a car, and then you're told now learn how to drive that car. It can be messy, it can be a little bit confusing and all that stuff. Now consult an expert. I'm not saying consult friends who have not been there, because back again to the bakers, I do very little of baking because it's not a passion. But if I mess up on the baking thing, the best person who can give me the quickest way out is a professional baker. Because if they are within a call, they can come look at my duff and tell me ulieka unga mingi, you should have reduced the flour, or they test it and tell you the sugar iko chini or something, things that I would not have picked as a
kawaida person who just wants to,
Yes, as an inexperienced person. But when they come in, they're able to seek experts' advice. I'm not saying from friends. I want to underline that. From the experts. Those have been there.
And that will not be considered as, incorporating a third party to your marriage.
There are some third parties will have to come in.
Yes.
Let's be real. You can't die there.
You have to speak to someone at least.
Definitely. And that cannot be your parent. Many times I say, please forget your parents. Or your sister, your siblings. Because the image I create Linda, once I speak about your weakness to that person, even if you come underline yourself and polish things, that thing will be left at the back of your parents' mind.
And it becomes a dent.
Kabisa.
Asante sana, Elizabeth Kinyua, life coach, The foundation of marriage is what we have discussed at this very point. And we say thank you so much again for the immense feedback that we have gotten from you people. This is quite a sensitive subject, but at the same time one that is liked, because most of the people tend to feel like they're not doing it right, and therefore they'd want to hear the experiences of people and use this very and is there anything wrong with using the experiences of people?
No, that's why you look up to people that you have, those people that you admire. I'm calling the experts. They don't have to be the professional counselors, but the people that have been married probably longer time than you. And sometimes you may share your challenge with them and they laugh, they ask you what's the problem. Because to you it looks like a whole mountain. Problem,
but
for them this is nothing. Then you realize, they can offer you a way out without necessarily having you to walk out with all your baggage and emotions. Yeah.
Is it right when they say you can never learn your partner? Every day is a learning process.
Especially for us women, we can never be understood completely.
And you saw those men that were buying this big book that it was about to understand women and learning how to.
Let me tell you, we have something that functions in our bodies called hormones. Today your hormones tells you can be loud. Tomorrow they tell you you don't feel like you want to talk. And men try to figure that out, and it becomes very complex. So I always say, deal with me mahali umenipata, kwa ile situation stage umenipata, wacha tumanejiane hivyo. Otherwise it will be very hard.
Elizabeth Kinyua, asante sana once again for speaking to Morning Cafe this morning. It's exactly 24 minutes past the top of the hour. I must say thank you so much for keeping us company right from 6 a.m. up until this very point. It's always a pleasure to bring you some of these very, very important conversations that are, healthy, and as well they help steer us. Earlier on I had mentioned that we'll be having a gym session, but I'm told because of other things we won't have it today. But not to worry, next Thursday is a sure deal, and perhaps different because we'll be having it before we begin officially, and so that means at around 6 there. So if you've not stepped out of the house, you can wear your gear and be set. We give you 30 minutes of proper workout